Hi Gemini, it's Veroosh. Welcome to my channel. We're taking a look at your week from the 11th until about the 19th. It's more than a week, and the reason I'm doing a weekly this week is because there are some very important transits, and one of those transits is in your first house. Before we get into it, I want to stress that this is for sun, moon, and rising. I know some people just say rising, rising, rising with astrology, but you can draw a chart for your sun, and those are very impactful. I'll let you guys decide if it resonates for you, but I actually really like my sun readings, and that's pretty much all I watch. But anyway, so I hope this helps you guys. This is a corollary reading for, I guess I'll get your cards ready, but it's a corollary reading for two readings I've already did for you guys. I just realized that this transit, this set of transits that we have going on right now are so powerful that I think that they may have gotten overshadowed by the themes of the other readings. So the other readings will be in the cards and at the end of the video. And one is the collective reading for this week, which was fine, but it didn't actually go into it with every sign. And the other reading was the love for the next 6 months reading for your sign. And of course, the topic was sort of displaced from the energy here. I mentioned it. I tried to explain it, but... And, okay, so anyway, so let's take a look at your Lenormand first. We have cross, heart, and so I wanted to do this reading with focus. And then we have butterflies. I'm distracted all over the place. I'm thinking of all the things to tell you. Chastity. This is these two are cards in, this is my Lenormand deck. I haven't published it in a long time. It's out of print. But we have, and then we have Scythe. Okay, yeah, so let me tell you my download first for you guys, because I have some messages coming in for Gemini before I even did this reading. Friends betray us, right? And sorry if this is like a triggering topic. Skip ahead if you don't want to hear it, but friends betray us. And I think you've been dealing with a cycle of betrayal from friends for quite a while. And so I think that, how do you say this? The scars of betrayal run deep, and sometimes they stay with us for a long time. And the only reason that you're experiencing this is that that person who betrayed you coveted something you had. They wanted something that you had or you represented to them. And so there's this weird feeling of having that type of animosity or negative feeling being directed towards you. But I think that the point at this time is for you to gather that information that you gained from that interaction and have more strength to go in your own direction, because where you are going is so much better than where you've been. So especially when you were friends with this person, when you were aligned with this person, you were friends with somebody who was quietly begrudging you, right? And so, or maybe even a series of friends. So whatever it is, if it's one person or a group of people, just be happy that you're out of that. And whatever it costs you, that's an unfortunate lesson that sometimes happens to us. But I think that I think that the point of this week for you, in short, is for you to step into your power. I called this reading "You Are So Much Brighter." It's based on the astrology. Essentially, whatever's happened to you is like a little blip, and those people and those circumstances that were like that, and do we go back to people like that? I'm not here to really tell you, but when betrayal happens, it's like, do you go back to people who betray you? Maybe you guys can tell me your thoughts in the comments about that. Like, do you go back to people who betray you? Do you forgive, or do you look the other way? I don't know. I'm an Aquarian moon. I don't go back. It's kind of like, yeah, let's tell me your thoughts. I'm curious. So here's your cards, and that's a download for you guys. See, you have this transformation card, the butterfly card. It's like the butterfly out of the chrysalis, right? And so you've gone through a transformation, and I think that the weight of the love that you felt for others in the past is the transformative point. It's the thing that sort of bound you to that relationship and that dynamic. And now for you, it's, take a shower and or take a bath and move cleanly into the future in a new direction. There's a transformation ahead of you and a release point. So I think this is a good point to introduce the astrology, because today I'm going to do tarot at the end, but I think it's really about pinpointing for you the days and the sequences that you should be aware of. So let's start with the most important transit for you, and that's the North Node with Aldebaran, right? I've been talking about it. I actually have the true North Node up today. This alignment is around from beginning of July till the end of July. However, the exact conjunction is the 15th. And so it's happening in your sign, in the sign of Gemini. And it's important for all of us, but for you, it's a departure, right? It's a real shift. It's your turn to let go of what's not working. I also have a download that in some way you're holding on to something for some reason. You're holding on to something because you feel passion towards it, or you love it, or something that matters to you a lot, but there's much better opportunities for you in other directions. And so I think that maybe whether it's it's mostly to do with relationships, but if you're holding yourself back, this is the time, the 15th, for you to go in a different direction. On the 15th, we also have Chiron Retrograde in the 11th house. So 11th house has to do with friends. And so when Chiron goes retrograde, all those pins and needles caused by other people's bad behavior that had an effect on who you are kind of become more subdued. So you're better now. And that is a sextile. I love sextiles. You guys will see in my readings, but this sextile in some way frees you up. Again, a transformative point. I'm completely not surprised by the Lenormand cards we got for you guys today. It's very like I said, a clean shower. I wasn't trying to be facetious. It's like cleaning yourself and being fresh. Gemini to me is freshness. I mean, during your season, it's like late spring, beautiful, bright here in the northern hemisphere. And that's the energy that you were born into. So Gemini is just fresh and pure. And sometimes when we are fresh and pure of spirit, like a summer breeze, early summer breeze, late spring summer breeze, we don't really, I feel like it's been complicated, and it's been complicated, and sometimes when we're of a high frequency and crystal clean like that, we don't know what to do with it. So when somebody does something to us, it's I think part of the problem is you literally don't know what to do with that. How do you process the behavior? How do you process the transgression, right? So that's the biggest transit. The second biggest transit is a little bit of a triggering one. So if you get triggered, then jump to a minute down, just fast forward 2 minutes. But on next Sunday, Lilith is entering into Gemini. I don't want to talk about it. See, I took her out of the chart, but I think it's necessary for us to acknowledge that. So this whole week is a lot about being heart-centered. This North Node transit isn't heart-centered. It has to do with clear thinking and vision. However, the rest of the transits that I'm about to tell you about are very heart-centered, very passion and emotion-based. And so at the end of this whole passion sequence, right, of transits, Lilith enters into your sign on the 18th. And it's watch your back, be careful. And for you, the important thing to take away, and I'm not saying watch your back, something bad will happen to you, but this Lilith and Gemini, and I'm posting something for you guys on that day with a message for Gemini, so I'll just kind of tell you guys now if you're curious. But it has to do, a lot of Geminis have the experience of possibly hearing very harsh criticism from others, particularly if you have Lilith and Gemini. You may feel extremely criticized with like these harsh opinions coming at you, and like swords. I'm thinking of a card in the Cosmic Tarot. It's like the 7 of Swords, 10 of Swords, and he's running from the swords and they're coming at him. But yeah, so there's this energy of like harshness and criticism. And so it's important for you you're going to be fine. But with this transit of Lilith in Gemini, which happens once every 10 years, so this is not common, it'll be in Gemini from July until April 2022. And what you need to watch out with this transit is of getting into tit for tat with other people. And you need to be careful of what you say and how. All of these things can be incredibly difficult to deal with. And if once the ball gets rolling on something, it could become a firestorm of insults or very harsh things. I don't mean like insults like name calling. I mean mean stuff. So stay away from conflict. If the angry twin is coming out, it's a little joke, but if the angry twin is coming out, then for sure be wary of how you wield it, because it can be a very like intense, sharp, cruel, mean energy. So it's not going to be as bad as the previous transits. I'll add to that, because the previous transits had aspects to certain planets over the last few years. And so this transit of Lilith in Gemini is now in the phase where Lilith becomes less aspected and therefore less problematic. So it's not any worse or better than Lilith in any other sign, except for the fact it's not forming these wild conjunctions it did from Scorpio until now. So it's been a while, 5 years of something like that. Okay, so let's talk about better transits. So North Node Aldebaran, vision of your future, separating yourself from the labels that bad friends have left you with, moving forward in a new direction with power and confidence. Lilith, watch out for her. She's mean, not nice. Avoid. So 2 more transits. I'm filming this when the moon is with in Leo with Venus and Mars. Okay, so this is happening in your 3rd house. This is a huge transit. It's the Venus and Mars will be exact on the 13th of July, and the moon is with Venus and Mars on the 11th. So what am I doing? I decided to film your guys' videos. I wasn't going to do these videos, and I don't have time for them, but I looked at these transits and what I'm doing here on YouTube, and I really felt like this was the core message. Like, if I need to tell you anything, this is it. So I'm here, right? I did 2 other videos on these topics, as I said, but I didn't feel like they drove the point home, and I really want people who are looking for the answer to find it here, right? Or at least my take on it. So we have the conjunction, it's a stellium between Moon, Mars, and Venus on the 11th of July, the time I'm filming, and then the exact precise conjunction between Mars and Venus happens on July 13th in Leo, 19 degrees, right there. And so this conjunction happens at different intervals, and the last one happened in 2019 in August, and it was in the sign of Virgo, and now we're going to have this conjunction here, and then one in Capricorn in February, and then another one in March in Aquarius. And what's going to happen is that Venus is going to pass Mars. Venus is faster than Mars, and then it's going to move forward into Capricorn, have a retrograde cycle. Mars will pass her, and then she will very quickly pass Mars in Aquarius once she goes direct. So she'll go retrograde, she'll go direct, Mars will pass her, and then she'll start speeding up and then pass Mars almost immediately. So it's a very interesting kind of frequency, and we'll talk a lot about that over the next 6 months. But what's important for this week is that there's this big start of energy. For you, this is beginning in your third house on the cusp of the fourth house. This is called the IC, very connected to your roots, where you are as a child, and the blueprint. And I feel like this relationship dynamic between Chiron and the North Node is very oriented to who you are. Bad friends will pull us away from who we truly are, and the North Node, I believe, is here to remind you. So this big focus is, you are so much brighter. That's the energy. And so Mars and Venus and the moon spark this start. Don't expect everything to show up right away. It's, like planting seeds. It takes time. For some people, it will be dramatic. For some people, it will come straight up to the forefront of the frequency. But give it up to 6 months. And over the next 6 months, I suspect for you, there will be a dramatic transformation in February when Venus goes retrograde in the 8th house, which is the house of change and endings. And then this 9th house, I could see many of you go very far in life, like move somewhere very far away, expand your horizons and grow. And it all begins on the 13th. So very excited. And I think it's all juxtaposed to the fact that there were people crushing you down with their identities or their imposition. So a lot of your themes, Gemini, over the last while Geminis are very courteous and they welcome people in. And people sometimes don't understand with gratitude what has been offered, and so they make themselves at home. It's like just because you can walk into somebody's house with your shoes on doesn't mean you should. Okay? I'm getting long-winded, sorry. But there's a lot to say, and for you, this is a very important transit. Okay, so the last transit that we need to identify, and it's less impactful for you than other aspects this week, is this series of water grand trines and the frequencies around that. The week on the 12th begins with Mercury beginning its trine to Jupiter. Now Jupiter is at the top of your chart at the MC. That's where you're going in life. So this combination is very lucky with career and career-minded things. These water transits are very good for you with regard to your career and where you are going financially. So this trine happens. Be very wary and mindful of how you initiate, especially with career and what you feel passionate about in terms of your career. Great success will come to you if you use this energy wisely. Then the sun will form its trine to Neptune, which is also in your 10th house of career. So Mercury and the sun are in your 2nd house of money, and then Neptune and Jupiter are in your 10th house of career. So these two trines, so remember Jupiter and Mercury is on the 12th, and then Sun and Neptune are on the 15th. And so these trines start forming through the week, and your passion for what you do comes out. If you're not doing something you're passionate about, you will feel a great drive to become what you're meant to be, become so much brighter, and really show that to the world. Now here's the really beautiful kind of highlight of this. The moon will transit from Leo. Where's Leo? There's Leo. Excuse me, Leo until Scorpio this week. So beginning of the week, it'll be in Leo. On Tuesday, it enters Virgo. On Thursday, it enters Libra. And then on Saturday, it enters Scorpio. Now, the moon doesn't like to be in Scorpio. However, with this energy that we just talked about in the water signs, when the moon enters Scorpio, it forms a grand trine frequency between Mercury and Jupiter. And that is going to be magic time. Now, by the time the moon enters Scorpio, Mercury's going to be at like 9 degrees of Cancer, which makes a trine between Jupiter and Mercury sort of very weak. However, the moon is a fast-moving transit. It moves through a sign every single 2.5 days. And so it'll carry that frequency over, and you will feel the resonance of this. This grand trine happens on the 17th of July, which is the Saturday. And then the second grand trine happens when Mercury reaches about 22 degrees of Scorpio on the 19th of July, which is next week, a little bit of a foreshadow, and creates a more precise grand trine between Neptune and the Sun. And so what happens with those transits is, again, anything that you love with regard to your career becomes really activated. You really show your heart. You really stand out. It's a very beautiful, beautiful transit. So that's the 3 sets. So we have the North Node, the Venus and Mars, and then we have the water transits. And then going back to the more darker astrology. So again, if you don't like the darker stuff, jump ahead to the tarot that I'm about to do. So just to remind you the pattern, okay? So it's a very heart-centered week in which you're meant to act with passion and self-understanding and just really in touch with your heart, okay? And so, however, there are certain transits on the 17th and 18th that make it necessary that you self-protect and that you are weary of the frequencies around you. And for you, this hits hard. So I'll tell you what it is now. So we already mentioned Lilith in Gemini. So again, on the 18th, biting words, criticisms, those kinds of things, be wary of. And then on the 17th, we have the Sun and Pluto opposition, okay? And so this happens when the moon enters into Scorpio, which is, it makes it your emotions drawn in and sort of self-protective. The Sun opposes Pluto every year, this time of year at this time, because Pluto is in Capricorn. It's a big energy of pushback, pushback against what oppresses you. If you are oppressed, if you have gone through serious things, the more suppressed you are, the more the Sun will lash out against Pluto. For you, this is a lot to do with 2019 and 2020 and the power structures that held you down and held you back. So you could see if there's any remaining things that are pushing down on you, you could really be in your frequency to push back, lash out, those kinds of things. Listen, this transit is wonderful for saving yourself, for emancipating yourself. However, use it wisely. You don't want to end up looking like a fool by saying something you regret. So for example, if you feel like somebody has control over your money and has been unfair with you, 8th house, through this transit, you might just do some dramatic gesture, just frustrated by the circumstances. So in one sense, it's good because you're acknowledging what's wrong and freeing yourself. But on the other hand, it's not necessarily in your best interest to do so, sometimes because you have to be wise with how you manage the energy. Outbursts aren't always the best, right? So there it is. So you have up and down energy throughout the whole week. Some of the best transits, and for you, definitely the best transit of the year is happening. Very heart-centered, very open, very close to heart, very close to who you are. And then on the other hand, really showing in career what you believe in, what you are meant to be. And then on the other hand, there's these kinds of transits where your vulnerabilities can be pecked apart, Vulnerabilities can be pecked apart and by others or circumstances and taunting energy. So be wary of that. It's worse when we're open and receptive when things attack us and we're like, eep. Okay, so let's see if there's a house that's activated by all this. The 9th house. Yeah, so that's what we said. Remember when I was telling you about the Venus and Mars conjunction and where the 3rd Venus and Mars conjunction will be in March? I suspect expansion into the world. You're going places, and don't let past distract you. Don't let the present distract you if it's limiting, because you're going in good directions. Okay, so now this took a long time, but it was worth it. Your sign requires the most explanation because obviously the North Node is such an important transit. Okay, but I hope if I help one person with this, it's great. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look at your tarot cards for this week. We have the King of Wands. And just for brevity, I'm just going to slide them right down, okay? Then we have the Four of Cups. I feel right away that somebody has power with regard to your money, and they in some way ration it out in a very like limited fashion, and that's kind of the 8th house stuff. But it's a positive change with regard to that situation, emancipation from that. Then we have the Four of, this is actually looking very heart-centered and warm. Somebody could be offering you a job, Gemini. Then we have Capricorn at the center, or the Devil. The Devil can really represent career stuff as well. And since there's so many transits in your like work houses, 2nd house and 6th house and the 10th house, you could be making big moves. I could see somebody making an offer to you, that could potentially change your life and give you a new beginning. And so, yeah, the Devil, good things. Let's see the next message. We have the Page of Cups, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Couple pages, which means I feel for you that you're on the footsteps of new beginnings. The pages signify Ace of Pentacles, new career opportunities. It's almost like going to an interview and speaking from your heart, or talking to somebody who would hire you, and like they hear your passion and they hear your just passion towards things. Whatever you begin this week, I really sense that your emotions come through. 6 of Pentacles, very, very good. 2 of Pentacles. You've been on unstable territory with regard to career and with regard to your work. And I think that for some of you, there's been a disconnect between what you do with work and what you truly want to do. And so I think that what's happening now is the alignment is becoming much more precise and clear. And definitely on the 12th, even on the 11th, when I'm posting this on the 12th, sorry. But even on the 12th, this trine between Jupiter and Mercury is going to be very beautiful for you, because what's truly in your heart can really be seen, and what's truly in your heart becomes a reality. And so new opportunities are there. I think that this is about reclaiming your power and reclaiming yourself and being confident about the direction you go. And so I think that there's like money coming to you in some way. And I think, let me be honest, for this King of Wands, in some way, there's some questions about Devil, like what is he just money bags, or is there like something, is it just success and opportunity? I feel like in this situation there's going to be a proximity between you. This person is a conduit for you to express what you truly want to do. But I think that in some way you already know that you will ultimately need to adjust your direction, because for whatever reason, it's not the bigger picture for you. There's other things, but you're carefully taking steps in that direction. And so you're carefully going in the direction that you are meant to. Remember, March 22nd, 2022 is when the second conjunction between Venus and Mars happened in Aquarius. And so for you, this is going to be a real Jupiter, which is the Wheel of Fortune moment. So you have this real moment of opening up and expansion. The 9th house has a lot to do with travel, long distance travel. I could see many of you going very far away places, but for those of you who are not going far, then it's a mental expansion where you're mentally going in different places. I just feel like good things are being given to you around the home this week. And I feel like you're really placing yourself in the line of generous energy. And I think full circle that this is what was actually lacking in your relationship with the Chiron energy. Friends that were not giving you everything and causing you setbacks by being stingy. Okay, so let's take a look at your best signs for this week, or important people you should pay attention to. This is Sun, Moon, and Rising. So this week, lucky Libra, Aries, and Sagittarius. So lots of fire and a little bit of air like you. So people who have these transits, Sun, Moon, and Rising, may be important for you at this time. But ultimately, it's all about you. You are so much brighter. And if you want more information on this, watch my collective. It's in the cards, or the love for the next 6 months. I talk about this energy too. Okay? So best wishes to you, Gemini. Set your mind forward. This conjunction between the North Node and Aldebaran will never happen again in your lifetime. And so, actually, it will happen again in 20 years. Sorry. Being dramatic. But yeah, it's a big one. And so for 20 years, that, it's an important one. So you're here, you're now. Sorry. I was so good. The rest of the video was so composed. Couldn't help myself. But yeah, use this energy to choose your destiny and make it a good one, okay? Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to make the energy real. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.